It's a new voice this time.
Yeah, she says something different too.
Yeah.
Used to be, this meeting is being recorded.
Right. Right. Welcome, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome. I think, Andrew, you are leading demos today, so I'm going to.
Oh, am I? All right. Cool. Oh, yeah. And part of demos, as we know, is looking at the control chart. So I have that ready, actually. So I guess I didn't know that I was doing this. It's early. That's not that early, but anyway, I won't make excuses. All right. So hello, everyone. Welcome. Just while I get my Zoom windows set up here. They moved the chat out of that 3-dot menu too. That keeps throwing me off. All right, cool. So looking at the control chart for the last 2 weeks. Well, I have it set to the last 2 weeks. We actually, maybe we'll look at the last month and we'll see there's been kind of a trend. So to remind everyone, the little circles represent either a single issue or clusters of issues, right? The blue line is sort of the rolling average of our efficiency. The red line is just the average over the whole time span. Actually, I can reduce this down to just kind of the time span question, I think, right? Okay. So yeah, the red line shows the average over the time span. The light blue area is sort of the standard deviation, I guess. So you know, how kind of represents sort of the range of, you know, kind of high and low. But I mean, there's a clear downward trend here in the efficiency, which actually it's actually an increase in the efficiency. The line is going down. It means we're being more efficient. So over the last month, we had a 4-day, 10-hour average. So about 4.5 days average for, and this is for issues. I created a quick filter. We could exclude subtasks. We started to use subtasks, and this happened just this week on my team, one of my teams at Zapier, where I was like, oh my God, our cycle time is like 1.5 days. That's amazing. Everyone's like, oh, you need to exclude subtasks. Oh yeah. So we did that and it was back up to about 3.5 days. So since we started to use subtasks, I created that quick filter. But in any case, the downward trend is really encouraging. It's I think that has to do a little bit with us maybe splitting stories up, or just maybe, you know, kind of actually I wasn't here last week, so I don't know what y'all did, but something happened where this is kind of moving in the right direction. If we look at just the last 2 weeks, the average is even lower. So you know, under 3 days, which is great. I mean, that's kind of what most teams shoot for. So if we don't exclude subtasks, we do see like when you include subtasks, yeah, that average goes down a little bit, and there are just a lot more issues on the board, but it's the same sort of general story. So anyway, still early in the project, so you know, we'll see where this goes as things change. But you know, it's kind of fun to see that at least, you know, the graphs are going in the right direction. Any questions about the control chart? Five issues over the last 2 weeks. So that's cool because, you know, if you were just kind of going by the book, it would be, you know, 4 issues or whatever. So that's good to see too. Which team wants to show their work? Or did you all, I know Katya, you were sick this last week. So did the rest of the 3 of you just work as a team, kind of as a group? Is that what happened?
Kind of, sort of, yeah.
Okay.
Stuff
I'll let
got
you,
done.
I mean, okay. However it makes sense for y'all to demo, you know, go ahead and show us what you got.
Yeah, sure. Alejandro, let me double check here because you were mentioning a little work or a demo flow. I just want to make sure. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I can do just kind of, am I demonstrating the functionality? Sorry, we're not.
It's okay.
Super, yeah, functionality. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to show functionality and then we'll carry on from there if that's all right. So I'll go ahead. All right, so here we are, week whatever we're in. This was week 4 of work. And the functionality for this time around, I'm going to bring this up. As a user, I want the map to show pins near my location so I discover interesting things around me. So we're wanting to have it if the user accepts a prompt to share their location, we're gonna be able to do all these nifty things. And then if they do not accept, we'll leave the map in whatever the last good state happens to be. So if we take a look, so we're here at at Paris, like we've been in the past. But if I go ahead and share my location, we are now in Minneapolis. For some reason, for mine, I'm actually right there, but it keeps thinking I'm over here. Not sure why. But I know everybody else seems to have been like spot on with their locations, so I'm wondering if it's just something set up with my personal side of things. But yeah, if I refresh, it does boot out the share location and it goes back to the original spot. But if I go ahead and click it again, oh, now I'm somewhere else nearby. I moved. That's where I got a cinnamon roll this morning. Okay. So
Stalking you, your computer.
something's going on in Minneapolis. I don't know. So I think I'm going to stop sharing right now and let somebody else um, talk a little bit more about it.
I guess I could jump in since mine, I guess I'm sharing just the button functionality. I will say I'm a little I'm glad that we talked through this stuff yesterday because there's some new PRs that we went over, but now I see there's just one, so I'm not exactly what I have will be a little bit older, I think. So I'll just share the code. So this might have changed a little bit because I don't know where I'm pulling down from at this point after the latest changes. But we have our share location button that I think has been changed to 2 buttons now that there's a fly to me and get live location. But we're really just going to give permissions to the geolocation functionality to find where we are at. I'll share screen for the map. So Jessica already did this, but if you hit allow, it allows you to go. And I think Jessica, one of the things, I don't know if this is for you. So this doesn't show me exactly where I'm at, but very close. But if you zoom in, it gets like on target, which is almost scary if you think security wise. And then we've added some animation, just a little bit to try so that you can see that it's kind of moving and in progress. My button, since I don't know if I don't have the most recent code. This is from whatever PR is up right now. So we'll check to see if the fly to me button works at this point, because I think there are some issues with that after you initially share your location. But it does. So it comes back to me. Other than that, yeah, lots of stuff happened yesterday, so I can't speak to all of it, and I hear my cat yelling at me in the background, so I apologize. And I'll stop sharing that.
It's cool.
And Alejandro, it looks like you were going to talk about some stuff as well.
I sharing my screen. This week we work with the two buttons. And this is the button share my location and fly to me button. The share my location, we use the location API. We create the button share my location. We create a function when we click on the button, the share live location handle. And if the user permits the location or it's enabling your device, you watch your position. If you want to share your location, the function what position return for the value. It's an ID. It's ID, and it's very helpful when I work with the stop sharing. We use this value, and the watch position use the two functions, success and error. If I accept and success, you get the position, the current position. Change the user center map. If the user shared before or didn't share, we move the map, change the map, the center. If not, we don't need to move the center map. The fly to me button is similar. Button is the basic button. Fly to me, there is a function. And yesterday in the office hours, we used in this method the navigator location get current position. And we did some problems. We had some problems with this, and I read about the geolocation API, and I found out when you call to the watch position, I believe in the background you call the current position, and there was a conflict when you call 2 times to the get current position. I try many things to solve, and I discovered we don't need to get correction again, because when you watch position, you update the user maps, the user center map, and we only need to, in our context, get the user center map and change. When you click fly to me, move the map when you are, and it's not necessary call to get current position. And also, I think Megan forgot about your work with the user location ping. He created for the point, the user marker, and put in our map. When the navigator location is enabled and we share the location, we display the user location ping. And that's all for this week. Thank you.
Nice. Yeah, that's great. I mean, great work. Like it's really coming together. Like it's feeling a lot more like a real app now with useful functionality. So that's very cool. Did anybody, I think you said some people were using the app, which is exciting. Has anybody, like, and somebody, Megan or I can't remember who said that they actually were using it kind of like moving around and watching it kind of follow you around and stuff?
My partner was visiting his family, and Iowa, and
Uh-huh.
he was looking at trying to find different parks and whatnot. So I said, you should try out the app, and
Uh-huh.
like just to see if it would work. Of course, it was still refreshing the map, so that I got the complaint today. I was like, we fixed it. And then I took it on the bus with me going to
Uh-huh.
and from work to see like the position changing.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's kind of
Because
fun, right?
yeah, there's like tons of stuff in Portland. I can't wait to like actually like take time to like what's over here.
Yeah, yeah. You didn't see the doll asylum on your map, did you? Super creepy. Oh, you're muted now.
I know that that exists, but I'm not near there. But like,
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that Atlas Obscura site. So this is kind of like
Uh-huh.
that, only like a lot more, because now we get everything that anyone's cared about.
Yeah, right, right. So one thing I noticed just in the code, and I didn't have time to put a lot of time into code reviews this week, so my apologies. But Alejandro, actually, would you mind just bringing up the code again? We can point at stuff. Cool. Yeah, this is fine. So line 53. So we have navigator question mark dot. So we're doing optional chaining there. In this case, navigator, we're in a browser context. Navigator is guaranteed to be there. That's a thing that's been in browsers forever. Same with on line 65 location. So location is guaranteed to be there, I believe, from our data, no matter what. Is that true? Like you only need to put, what I guess the point is, you only need to do the optional chaining if something isn't sort of, if there's no contract that that thing is going to be there. There are chances where it's not going to be there. Does that make sense? It's like in this case, like we're running map over all the locations. We're passing in a location. Location is something that's always going to exist. Thumbnail might not. So you'd want to keep the question mark on thumbnail. Does that make sense? Yep. And that'll have the same effect. So navigator.locate geolocation. Navigator is always going to be there. Geolocation may or may not be. It may be undefined. That would be the value that would come through if it doesn't exist, and that would be falsy, and it would fail the check. So yeah. So and then what else? Let's see. I think it was a really good realization to the thing about you don't need to just directly try to get the user's location. Like it's basically you're just switching back and forth from watching their position to not watching their position. And that watch position, yeah, probably under the hood, like deep in the browser is using the same call. So that's really great that you all came to that realization. I know Katya, you were out this week, so this is probably a lot to absorb. Do you have any questions for the team about any of the work, or have you had a chance to maybe review anything, kind of look over any of the code?
Actually, I've done quite a lot of reading on geolocation API, so yeah, it makes sense to me.
Okay, cool. Good to know. All right. Yeah, is there anything else that y'all want to share? One little comment about the actual demos. Like we have a lot of stuff that's in review at the moment, so it makes sense that you were demoing sort of on localhost and stuff. Like in a work context, generally the purpose of these demo meetings is to show stakeholders, what is actually available to users. So whenever possible, at Zapier and other places, like we try to demo on production, because it's, product managers, but also sometimes people outside of the actual team. So for instance, like, one of my teams at Zapier works really closely with the editorial team, like our blog team. To them, they're not that interested in things that are in progress. They want to see what are their users experiencing at the moment, right? So, we be really careful about just demoing on production. This is what end users are able to see at the moment, and that way, if they're like, oh, that's perfect, that's enough, we could actually stop the work in progress and move on to something else, right? So So anyway, we're gonna do a retro next, and that might be something we could talk about. Is how do we get ourselves to a state where we're we're kind of getting things done by the time, not everything, but some things done that we can demo on production for these little demo sessions. And I'm 3 minutes over, so I'll pass the floor to Lauren.
Oh, no problem. No problem. I just want to remind us because we go over every week, and I always feel bad that we're going over every week. So we can keep in mind. All right, I am sharing my retrospective screen. Has everyone had a chance? Do we need 5 more minutes to fill out cards?
I could use like 2 more. I have cards in every quadrant, but I might have another card or 2 in my head that I could use just a minute or 2.
Okay, yeah, let's do 2 more minutes.
Thank you.
And yeah, everyone can look at their cards or add more. I'll set a time. All right, how does everybody feel? How do you feel, Andrew?
Good. I said I was done, and then I wrote another card.
Oh,
But
okay.
I'm really done. I'm truly done this time.
Okay, that's great. So as a reminder, I'll highlight each person. You can share your cards, and then I think we'll do it so that we'll read through all of your cards. So liked, learned, lacked, longed for, and then we'll have the opportunity to vote and group things together and get some themes and come up with some action items. We'll also review action items from our last retrospective to see how we're doing. Does that sound okay? Would anyone like to volunteer to go first?
Well, we can see your cards, so maybe you go first.
You can see mine? Okay, sorry. I wasn't sure. All right, yes, I'm gonna highlight my posts. Can I make it bigger? Yes, I can. All right, so can I drag it? Yes, I can. So I thought I thought office hours were really great this week. It was sort of like a mini retrospective. We were talking about how people felt about how the work went this past week, because we did things a little bit differently than we have in the past. So I really enjoyed office hours. Thank you, everyone. I was super proud of the team for trying something new this week. And really, I just threw it at you at the last minute. I was really proud of you all for trying it and stepping outside of your comfort zones a little bit, just try a new process. And I think you got a great start on learning how to do story splitting and coordinating together as a group of 3. Like, it was challenging, and I think you did a great job. Learned, I think the group wanted perhaps more clarity from me as a mentor. So that's what I learned personally. Let's see. And lacked, I think that this week in particular, just because things were a little different, you could have used more direction from the mentors. I think we lacked some collaboration and communication in Slack. Just communicating what you're working on and invite others earlier in the process. And when you are stuck or aren't sure what to do, go ahead and communicate that. Don't be afraid to communicate if you're not sure what you're doing. And then for me, for longed for, again, more communication in Slack about who was doing what and what was going on. I think that's what I was hoping for. Yeah, so that is me. Then who would like to go next?
Something we did at our last ATC meeting was just for each person to just call on the next person.
Oh, okay. Jessica, I'm going to call on you.
Sounds good.
You're going to need to share at the bottom.
All right.
Posts. There we go.
All right. So first off, for liked, Lauren was fantastic during office hours, talking us through the week and where the project stood. You were very patient and supportive, I felt, so thank you for that. And then also, I just like being with this group. This is a cool group. I like you all. This is fantastic. So those are my likes for the week. This is what's the name of this category?
This is learned.
Learned. Okay, so I learned, so it was something I already knew, but it was just affirmed again. I need to slow down and ask questions, even if I perceive others have limited time to offer. Let them arrange their time as necessary. So it's just a personal lesson I keep relearning again and again. Also, I learned I just need to, like when it comes to the code, paying more attention to the different browsers and how the code might work on them. I just came across a couple things and it just stuck out to me. And so something I learned to do. The next one for lacked, as discussed in office hours, just the clarity of how the work was to be distributed. And then just overall, just engagement in communication overall. And I'm speaking that directly for my personal perspective on and how I interacted with the group this week. I could have definitely engaged in communication overall much better. So, and then for longed for more pair programming, that's something, again, I know I could have spoke up to make that happen. I wish that I had engaged more with Alejandro's communication because he was very active on Slack. And so I wished I would have interacted more with it. And then just generally that I spoke up more and advocated for myself. And that's just a thing that I keep learning to do. So, but overall, I mean, this was a huge learning week, in my opinion, and I really, really appreciate it.
Awesome. Okay, do you want to pick the next person? Thank you for sharing those.
Oh, yeah. So now do you end up clicking on it or do I?
I can click on it.
You do? Okay, let's just go up the line. Let's AM, yeah. Alejandro.
Sure. Let me highlight your posts. And Alejandro, if you want to share, there you go.
Okay. In the like move programming with Megan and Jessica. We work our user story, make decisions, and talk about more interesting things. Our reviews details about PRs. Thanks Lauren and Andrew, because we identify some issues we don't identify, give some ideas or solutions related our work or PR in our Slack channel. Sometimes I help me to try or invest or research for the other solutions when I get stuck. Our task was so challenging. It caused us to go out of the comfort zone, and the office hours help us to check our work and find some issues. And thanks, Lauren. Learn more about the geolocation API, like watch position and current position functions. And also I learned great space to work as a team or pairs. It's most important when we work the remote work time. And thanks, Andrew, for that. I think we need more time to think all the scenarios with our task, organize our subtask and GitHub branches. We thought about subtask and one branch, but we feel I feel it's difficult. Improve our team communication and work in progress or work to do. And I need practice more about React and React hooks and geolocation API.
Hard same.
Or distribute our time much better, development and solving issues. Read more about geolocation API before this week. And I would like to finish this task before Wednesday and increase our velocity. Thank you.
All right. Excellent. Nice. Nice, everybody. I see Megan. Let me stop highlighting, and Megan, you are next. If you want to share. Oh, you're on mute still. Sorry.
I'm trying to save the cat house, but I should just leave it on mute. It was super great to work with all three members of the team at the same time. That's super interesting, you know, having more brains on the issues. And thank you all for your mentorship critiques with office hours. I know sometimes that can be rough and you're like, oh, I did all this work and now it's wrong, you know, but it's good. It's good practice. And working with geolocation is super interesting. Like security wise, it seems scary a little bit, but it's like a lot of fun to just be able to get that any sort of new types of data. When I was just, it took me so long to make the button and I should have just like let it go and made the button, but I was like interested in the animating SVG properties. And I find this funny because I've been working with students doing creative coding stuff, and it's basically just like animating these Canvas elements, but using like a creative coding library. And for some reason, just to animate the SVGs was like so much more difficult. I guess there's so many new things, like box shadow is problematic, but then I learned about a new one that's like the drop shadow now, but it doesn't maybe work in every browser. It was super cool. And everybody else, yeah, I would like to get more into that. Everybody talked about direction and communication, so I'm just adding to that. I do think we tried, and it's interesting to see how to do that amongst like people with different time zones. Like there was an effort, but I can sort of see like how to make that better. Like we should always be maybe over communicative than less. And I myself dropped out a little bit because like I have work and other things going on. So I kept seeing things pop through and I would try to glance at them, but I was like, okay, I'm a little lost. And I should have just like taken a time early in the morning or something and be like, hey, can you tell me what's going on here? And it would be nice to know about what changes and why maybe a little sooner. Because I think I had in my mind this week that, you know, we worked on the one PR and that was under review. And Alejandro, thank you for taking the initiative to try new things, but I think I got a little bit lost about what and why those new changes were made. And then we should, just like what I did with going down a rabbit hole of SVG animation, just meet the AC first and get the minimum done and then refactor later. I feel like I had the same issue in the last cohort I worked with. We did a lot of refactoring or stuff before, like as we were working, and I think it, you know, caused a lot of issues with like other team not knowing what's going on. And even for myself, I learned a lot about merge conflicts working in that way. So it's always just nice to just get the minimum done first, get that approved, and then try a refactor later.
Excellent. Andrew, you are next.
Oh, am I? Okay. What does that do? Oh no, I don't want to. Never mind. You can cancel that. I do want to share my cards. All right, so I also want to. Can I highlight my own cards? No, they're all showing. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, cool. So yeah, I definitely love seeing the initiative and the ownership that y'all are showing over of the project over the last 2 weeks. It's really exciting that you're not just sitting back and waiting for like, oh, here is the issue you must do this week. You do the issue and now you wait. You know, like you're actually thinking about users and thinking about, you know, how the project can be improved and, you know, how you can split things up and do extra stuff. So that's really exciting. Also, just wanted to thank you, Lauren, for running the meeting last week and everything in my absence. I don't remember if did I share wedding pictures with y'all? Oh, I'll dig up some pictures and share that with you because it's it was really fun and it's like a super beautiful setting and stuff. Anyway, so thanks all for letting me have that time. Sure. So things I learned: navigator.permissions. Had no idea that even existed. So otherwise, I might have called it out in the in the story as not being fully necessary. Like it, but I learned that from y'all, so thank you. And then I learned about Kafka. It's kind of unrelated to this project, but there's this. I mean, I posted it in the Learning Together channel, but this gently down the dot stream thing is like a super creative way to teach a technical concept. So yeah, it's all in the format of sort of like a kid's book or something. But I guess as a manager, I've been out of coding too long. This is the kind of thing I need in order to ramp up on a new system. So LACT. So one thing that I noticed when looking at the board this morning is that we have 7 issues in review at the moment. So I think that's probably worth talking about. Like that's not, you know, it's not the end of the world, but it's a symptom of something, right? So we had agreed as a team that our work in progress limit would be 2 for that column, and it's at 7. So we're way over that. So let's figure out how to prevent that from happening in the future. And then just, you know, I lacked a lot of time for code reviews. I tried to dip in when I could, but really busy week at work this week. So my apologies for that as well. And then what I longed for, I missed having you around, Katya, this last week. I hope you're feeling better and I'm ready to kind of re-engage. Glad to see you on the call. And then, yeah, the other thing I longed for was just, you know, I'd love to see us, like I said before, kind of demo on the production URL as much as possible. So yeah, we could talk about, you know, either today or in office hours about how to make that happen.
Awesome. And then Katya. Yeah, am I doing this right? Wait.
Okay, so I don't see my card anymore.
Here, let me try again.
Okay, sorry.
Lauren, do you want to?
Yeah, I see it. So I like my teammates' sense of care. It has really shined through, and also our mentors being supportive the past few weeks. Thank you for being so willing to jump in and help. I learned a lot. Also, I never worked with geolocation API before, and I really enjoyed learning about it, what it does, how to retrieve the user device's location, watch it in real time, and clear it, handle permissions and location errors. It was a good fun. I lacked, so the project is a lot of work to get it right, and the past few weeks felt like I'm almost on the clock, and that the project has completely monopolized my time. And this is why what I longed for was the time to keep up with my own life. So yeah, this is it.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought it was this highlighting was being weird. Sorry. It was really weird. It was like highlighting the wrong people. Okay, let me unhighlight, stop highlighting. Sorry for that. All right, so we're running short on time. So I'm going to switch it up a little bit, just like I did last week. So let's talk about kind of the big themes of what came out of this week. I feel like a big theme was communication within the team, and then I think communication from mentors, more direction from mentors. Those were big things that I'm sensing, but what do other people have to say?
I agree. Communication overall, I think a lot of us kind of know or recognize the ways that we do need to communicate maybe, or would like to a little bit more. So I agree, communication just as a whole, not being scared to talk to each other more.
Hey, Lauren, I think your cards are. It says your sticky notes are public, but oh, now they are. Okay.
Yeah, I just did. Sorry about that.
Okay. Actually, Megan, Alejandro, Katya, more thoughts?
Yeah,
Megan, you're.
for me,
It's like I press the button and it never seems to unplug. Maybe it's along the lines of communication, but I felt like we did a pretty good job of breaking things down into manageable tasks, but then somehow it became bigger. And I don't exactly know how we got there. Like, I feel like maybe sometimes as we do these things, we're realizing they're actually much bigger. So maybe we should communicate to revisit to maybe break those parts down too.
Yeah, I think more check-in. I think at the beginning of the week, you met together and like hashed it out together. And I thought that was excellent. And then maybe there needed to be more times to regroup throughout the week.
I will say in light of that, and this is a different thing to address at a different time, but 5 hours a week is not, I don't know how to do that at all. So just throwing that out there. I don't know if anyone else is in that spot, but for me to be able to keep up and to be able to check in on Slack and jump in and keep the communication going, I'm fine with doing more, and I have been, but 5 hours, no clue how that happens.
And you and Katya are kind of echoing that same sentiment. So, I mean, Alejandro, it seemed like you put in quite a bit more time. It seemed like, is that true, or were you able to do all that in 5 hours? Because if you were, you're some kind of Superman.
yes, this week, yesterday I talked about this and I mentioned now it's, I don't know, it's fortunate or unfortunate thing, but I have a little more time, I think, Megan and Jessica, and I can to try many things or try to solve in my way to this task, for example. But I don't know what is the future. Maybe I don't have much time, and I would like to reduce I think because or adjust for the suggestion time for the collaborator. I like I think for us we like to programming, we like to build things, and I think it's for me it's my motivation with you continue keep going because I feel a lot of I learn a lot in this week. I don't know about the location. I don't know about the hooks. What is the problem? The dependency between the methods. But I would like to improve our communication. I improve, but I feel we have the tools like GitHub, like Slack, like Jira, but I think we need to improve. But I don't know how because I feel we have many automations in our Slack channel. And I feel it's very helpful. It's a good way to communicate. If you create a pull request, you get a message. When you move the state for the Jira tool, we receive for the notification. But we have groups or people, group of mentors, group of team. But I don't know what's the missing thing or how can improve it.
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple of thoughts here. So the first one I think is, well, so kind of related to my, we have 7 things in review. Like it's, there's a way to think about this, which is just a bias for done, if that makes sense. So, if we agreed on a work in progress limit for the review column, because if we have more than 2 things in review at any one time, it means that there's a bottleneck somewhere, or we're kind of in this case, I think we were producing PRs. Are you a Star Trek fan at all? Anybody Star Trek fans? Remember like the original Star Trek, the Tribbles episode? We had like PRs like Tribbles, like they were just like kind of like there were new PRs almost every day this week. And so Alejandro, I think that like I said, like the initiative is great. But we are trying to we need to stay in balance as a team so that everyone is able to put in, kind of a reasonable amount of time for them. So if you have a PR, if you already have a couple of PRs in review, instead of doing new work and creating new PRs, we should all think of doing is how do we get those PRs done? And then, don't lose track of the work. Like if there's something new, a new feature or a bug you want to fix or something, make sure that's tracked on the board. But the first priority should be getting things into that done column. And that's kind of always the first priority for all the work, like how can we get it all the way to done? Because one thing done is way better than 2 things that are 80% done. Because done produces actual value for end users. Things that are in review, users, they don't care how many things are in review. They only care about what's actually in the app functioning, right? So bias for done would be the first thing that I would say. And that might take care of all this. I mean, but the other thing is just to be conscious of, like everybody has, a different amount of time that they can put into this. Our expectation is 5 hours a week. So that's not when you consider all the code reviewing and all the other things that have to happen, that's not a lot of time for the actual coding. So, I want everybody to learn as much as they can through this, but the primary thing we're trying to teach is, the collaboration skills, the processes that teams use in their work, as opposed to how to use hooks better or the geolocation API or whatever, right? Those are just kind of the way that we get to those other outcomes. So I don't know if that's all helpful or if that makes sense to everybody, but those would be kind of my high level suggestions.
I think that's really helpful, the way that you worded that. Thank you.
And then let's see, let's take a quick look. Last time our action item was opportunity to recognize when there's scope, we can defer and make those decisions as a team. I think that we did pretty well on this. I know that last week we knew that we wanted to get rid of that repeated loading state every time that the map moved, but we opted to defer it till later. Like we knew that that was something that we would address, but we also recognized that we wanted to get some work done. And so we took did that bias for done that week and then deferred the loading state. So I think that was a good example of following that action item. Cool. Awesome. Nice retro.
Right.
Nice continuation of our talk yesterday too. It's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. All right. I'm going to move into, I know we're 6 minutes left technically, and along the theme of trying to respect you all's time. So we have a lot of stuff in the done column, which is cool. I'm going to exclude done to keep the board less cluttered. So here we're going to just do a quick walk the board, and then we'll talk about kind of upcoming issues. So we have 7 things in review. Is it each one of these, correct me if I'm wrong, is there a PR for each one of these? I haven't actually looked at GitHub. No?
There's only one PR now.
There's one PR. Oh, okay. Okay. And are we waiting for me to review that? Like what's the, like what do we need to get that into the done column?
I think I see that I'm supposed to review. Like, I think that's where I got a little confused. We talked about stuff yesterday. Like a lot of these were in one PR, but then there were 3 that dealt with similar things, and now there's 1. So I just need to look.
Okay, so we went from multiple PRs back to one PR. So there were PRs that were kind of approved and merged into other PRs. Is that what happened?
I don't think so.
No? Oh, okay.
My understanding is that there was the one PR and then we ended up creating a bunch of subtasks off of that. Is that correct, Megan and Alejandro?
We created a bunch of, we created a bunch of subtasks, but decided to keep them in the same PR since they were related. And we sort of divided the subtask after the initial one to be self-assigning, but put in the same PR. But then, so that one was reviewed and there was a change suggested, but then I think maybe Alejandro was working out new ways of doing stuff and it sort of took care of or changed the functionality of the original PR because it did the same thing, if I'm correct.
Okay, so it sounds like we had a PR that was functioning but not optimal, or was it not meeting the AC?
Well, I would like to say the last Sunday we have a meet with Megan and Jessica, and we have a discuss about how can we work this week with this task, because the last demo, the last Sunday, Lauren suggests some subtasks, and we try to create a subtask with for example, the story 13 is the user story, but the 6 tickets of the Jira, it's a subtask for this user story. We try to think how can we create a task and your correspond branch, but we feel there is a difficult because some tasks depends for the other steps. Also, we need we suggestion we need to follow the complete workflow. We create a pull request. We request for the reviews for the pairs and mentors, and we decide to create one branch, one PR,
Mhm.
but mention in the PR which subtask we try to close or to try to work.
Uh-huh.
And we create a pull request. We were requests for review and receive your feedback.
Okay.
You identify there some issues. These issues, in my case, I think our pull request is not correct because there is many problems. There was active conflict, and I tried to other way to solution to
Mhm.
separate for the create, for example, two buttons, fly to me, share my live location, and try to pull requests more small progress.
Mhm.
But again, we yesterday, in the last office hours, we identify other issues, other problems, and I tried last night to solve and identify a problem because the last pull request we merge depends between branch, like the branch share live location to fly to me,
Mhm.
but in my in my work identify is the reverse, the order. You need first the share location first and next fly to me. And I think that two pull requests we had, it's wrong. And I try to avoid confusions, avoid problems. I close this pull request and create a new one. And it's the final for this week.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
it's a demo for today.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay, so I think I'm starting to get a better picture of kind of how it went down. So one thing, so about subtasks, like if these subtasks can be done even if the PR isn't merged. So let's in our minds decouple those two things. Like if you have this story that's in progress, right? Like show a button that you share the location. And you finish the part where you show the button, right? Like that, we can drag that over to being done. If we need to follow them around to their new location, if you've implemented that within the story, that part can be done too. The subtasks are more of a way for you to sort of track the different pieces of the work that need to happen. But as you finish those, feel free to move those over into the done column. And that might actually clean this up back down to just the two stories, right? So in which case we'd be within our work in progress limits. Yeah, it's like a to-do, exactly. So if we were to look at these subtasks, is this first one done? Show a button that allows users to share their location.
Yep.
Right, we have that. You hit on it. You click it. It moves you over. So let's move that to done. We need to follow them around to their new location. We're using watch position, right? So that's happening. Is that true? Yeah. We need to show a user marker if their location is shared. I saw it on your screen, Megan. When I went to test it earlier in the week, I wasn't working on Safari, but I guess that looks like you all have fixed that.
Yep.
So that's correct. Whoops. Wow. Didn't mean to open it. I have the exclude done thing here, so those are going to disappear after a second. If they don't share, we need to keep showing the most recent state. Is that true? Like and what that really means is, you hit the share my location button, and then you cancel the browser dialog that's prompting you for the location, like you're denying the location. Is that working correctly? I don't remember seeing that in the demo.
Yes, because when you open our app, you click on the share live location.
Mhm.
You ask you permit or block. If you block, the map center is the default center, and is the Paris in this case. But
Okay.
in the next ticket we work with the stop, and for this task for this is done.
Okay. All right. And then show button that allows you to track device position changes. That's the fly to me button. Is that what that means?
It's the same, the share live location. You watch position. And
Oh,
you when you move,
okay. All right, that looks better. So if we just think of these as to-dos, you know, the real thing that we're kind of tracking across the board is, and you know, when I did the control chart too, I was excluding subtasks. So just really think of those as like as a to-do list. You know, okay, I got that to-do done. I'll just put it in the done column. You don't need a review for that. So you know, the stories should be associated with one or more PRs that have to have the group review them. The subtasks can be something that even just one person could say like, oh, I need to update this variable, whatever, blah, blah, blah. You can move those across the board on your own. So that'll be a little change to things, but I think we'll keep the board a little more clean. Like it'll be easier to understand what's going on. So this story is not associated with an epic. So, but it has to do with the user's current position. So I would, when you're creating stories, this is just a that we could all agree on. Make sure you, let me see if this is easy to do. There's this epic link here. So we'll associate it with the correct epic so that we know sort of what big bucket of work that it applies to. And now we just have the one swim lane in progress, the user location stuff. So, okay, so hopefully that all makes sense. To finish sort of walking the board, what do we need to do to get these two things reviewed? Or like what reviews do you need? I have a feeling you need my review because I don't think I've given a review to both of these anyway.
I think
What else needs to
Alejandro
happen?
put up a new PR last night that kind of consolidates the work from the week. So,
Oh, really? Okay.
yep. So Jessica and Megan need to review that first, and then we need to review it.
Okay. Okay. Okay, cool. So then at that point, we'll be able to close for that one PR, we'll be able to close both these stories. Is that true?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Do you want Megan and I to post in Slack when we complete our reviews for you both?
Yeah. Yes, please. Yeah. I
right.
have a lot going on today, so I'm gonna. But if you ping me on Slack, I'll see it.
Got it.
Cool. All right. So
I know that's probably said a million times. I just needed to put it.
Yeah. No, thanks for clarifying. Yeah, the Slack is the way to get my attention anyway. Because GitHub notifications are trash. So let's see. Let's integrate with NearMe API. So this is done. Everything that's associated with it is done. So let's close that epic. Render nearby places, ready review. We have one more thing in the backlog, but this is actually in progress. So right now that's correct. So I guess we need to talk about this last ticket. Since it's in the backlog, we'll mark it selected for development because it's up next. And then the next thing, the next kind of set of work is to allow the user more control, provide instructions. And so we're over time. So the sigh is because this is a little bit of a choose your own adventure. Like we don't have to do all of these things. We can pick and choose. So there's some decisions to be made about what we actually do. So maybe what I'll do for now, like I'm on office hours, right? This week?
Yeah.
Because you did it last week. Okay. So maybe what I'll do, we need to get those reviews done. And we have that one issue that, you know, somebody can pick up, one of the pairs can pick up. And if that will tide you over until Monday or Tuesday, I can do office hours and we can actually go through and make a decision on which of these 4 things we want to do. Maybe we do all 4. Maybe we only think maybe 2 of them are important. Okay. So but what I'll do right now is just kind of do a little overview of all 4. And you can think about it for a day or 2, and then we will come back to it and decide as a group which things to take on. Is that an okay approach?
I like that. To be able, then I have a little bit of time to look at them on my own and just kind of think about them. I like that idea.
Yep. Okay. Not hearing any other objections. All right. So this epic is really about. By the time we get to this epic, we we assume we don't have a ton of time left. So, but you all are actually a little bit ahead of where the other two groups were at this point, and I credit Lauren for that, keeping the things moving. I don't know. I credit the team.
I don't think
know.
that's true, but
Anyway, I know it's not me. So anyway, we might have a little bit more room to do these things. Although the last group, we actually added this search thing last time, and it blew out. It was like a 3 or 4 week story. So, but it was kind of a cool feature. So let me just talk about that briefly. So, currently, you can drag the map around. That's sort of like a search, right? And you can, follow your own location. Those are the two ways that you center the map. The last group, they really wanted a search. So you could say, you know what, I'm going to Thailand, like, I want to, Phuket or something. I want to just enter that into a thing, hit enter, and have the map just switch over to that place. Or, there's an old historical place called the Round Barn where the wedding was. I just want to search on Round Barn, have it come up like a place name or an address or a city or something. Just be able to search on those things and have the map just jump to that spot. Seems straightforward, right? It turns out it wasn't as straightforward as we thought. So, the assumptions, we have a working map that can take a latitude and longitude and render pins. So we have that. Users and developers on previous projects have asked for the feature. It could be fun to enable a question: what interesting places are near XYZ location? It depends on that one being done, which it is. And then, we can help you if you get stuck, but the Google Places library is a good place to start in terms of understanding, how to implement this kind of search. This should be something that can be done independent of any other work. So the search criteria would be to add a search field that would be present on both map and table views. So this actually increases the utility of the table view or the list view a lot, right? Because currently you have to drag the map in order to get to a new place. And if you're on a screen reader, that's impossible. So this would actually allow people on screen readers to change what's in the list. So it's pretty high value thing. The find place from query method is probably sufficient for what we're trying to do. There's the anyway, I won't get into the history of it, but anyway, there's more information here about that particular query. The user enters a place name or address, clicks or taps a button to initiate search. The map then centers on the first result in the results object returned from the Places API. So this isn't necessarily optimal, but it's a quick way to get to a working search. So we use this find place from query. We just take the first result out of that because that API can return multiple results. And we just center on that. And that'd be a way to get to something that is, most of the functionality we want. We could then reevaluate whether we want to make the search, if there are multiple options, show those to the user and have them pick or something like that. That's a lot more complicated, a lot more scope. So the suggestion is to just keep it simple, render the first result. If there are no results, let the user know that there were no matching results. I say to use the alert method, but Chrome is going to take the alert method out of the browser, which is ridiculous to me. Anyway, but anyway, some way of telling the user that their search didn't return anything, if that's the case. All right, so Places library offers the ability to set location bounds for the search, but we should not take that into account. So anyway, there's a few details in here you can read through. And then the other thing is Places library has the ability to search for nearby places, but that's handy, but we're going to stick this with the Wikipedia API to avoid cluttering the results. The last team got into oh, now we need to show the difference between a Wikipedia result and a Google result. We were doing this for weeks. So if you follow the AC, it should be a relatively simple contained task, I hope. Yeah, so given a user viewing a map, when they search for a location, the map will center on that spot and show nearby pins. And you could, actually, I should add a second one, which is for the list. Giving a user viewing the list, when they search for a location, the new center will be set to that spot and the list will show nearby locations or something like that. All right, So, so that's one, and it's a biggie. Not gonna lie, it's probably a couple of weeks. Allowing users to delay API calls. So, in the way that I built it, I had this kind of I gave the ability for users to sort of set a delay on the API calls. So if you're driving, you want results really fast. You want it to be changing as you're driving 60 miles an hour down the highway. You want it to be updating all the time. If you're walking, the results aren't going to change very often, and so you could have it be every 30 seconds and still have a good experience. So that was the idea behind this. I have found with myself, I just always keep it over here. But the idea is that if it's an expensive operation to be making API calls all the time, like in terms of battery and sometimes bandwidth if you're on if you have a data cap or something like that. So the idea was to give users the ability to kind of move this around. So that's what that story is about. And there's a bunch of detail about that, including I think. Oh, I used a library for the actual slider. So that would be a shortcut that I could add to that. Allowing users to set a default view. So again, this would be sort of accessibility related, right? So we have that we have a settings page, so we could actually let users tell us whether they want the map or the list to show up by default. Store that in local storage or something, and have the app show one or the other. With the default maybe being the map or something. And then the last one is to provide instructions and help. So again, if you look at my version of the app, I have I have things like videos on how to install it on your home screen, stuff like that. So that's that one. So anyway, so those are the 4 that we kind of have queued up in this epic. And then we'll spend the last couple of weeks on design, just like really tidying up the app. And that's a good chance also to come back to bugs that we have and those kinds of things. And we are 15 minutes over, so I'll stop talking. If there are any questions now, let me know. Otherwise, I'll schedule office hours and we can decide as a team which of these we want to take on and who wants to kind of get those kicked off.
Just a quick question. Does the Google Places API need a separate API key for this? Or
good, really way to see around corners. Yeah, I think it actually does. So if we decide to take that one on, I'll go into the Google console and add that API key. I don't know, the API key. No, I think actually it's the same key. I think I just need to go into the console and enable the API key for that API.
Okay.
So I think we can just use one key. That's a good idea. Good thought. Anything else?
We need to assign, talk about who's going to do what pairs.
Yes, so it's Katya and Megan this week, and Jessica and Alejandro. And the first task is really to get the stuff across the board, right? So to which tab I want to get the reviews done, get those things into the done category, and then let's see. I'll move this epic into selected for development, so it shows up, and then we can decide at office hours which of these are selected. But we have this other handle the stopping sharing application. So I don't know. I feel like maybe Katya and Megan, do you want to get started on that one? I feel like if there is feedback from the PRs, Alejandro, you should probably be involved in fixing that if there are things that need to be changed. Is that okay with everybody?
Could you just clarify which PR? Because I didn't
understand. Yeah, I'm not sure what I haven't actually looked at. I guess there's just one PR.
So we just pick any that we want? Or no.
Oh no, sorry. So there's this story that you would the two of you would take on. So handle the user stopping sharing of their location. So they're currently sharing, but they stop sharing and have that kind of work gracefully. So I guess I didn't go over that story today. So as a user sharing my location in the app, I want to stop sharing so I can conserve resources on my device or protect my privacy, as Megan pointed out. So the assumption is the user is viewing the map and has already shared their device location. There's some reasons here why they wouldn't want to do that. It depends on that other story being complete, which I guess it's not technically complete because it's not merged yet, right? But you could kind of, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of basing a branch off of another branch, but I know, Lauren, you're pretty comfortable with that. So is that what you would recommend in this situation?
Good call. Yeah, that is what I would do personally. But if we can get that PR across the line, I mean, we've already had a look at a lot of the code. It's just in a brand new PR as opposed to it's not all brand new code. So if we can get that PR across the line today, like maybe if Jessica and Megan have time to review it, and then Andrew, I know you're busy doing a lot of Collab stuff today, but then I can take a look at it because I've looked at the other PRs quite a bit. So maybe we can get that knocked out today.
Okay, that'd be great. In which case, this dependency will be fulfilled. And then, so assuming we did use geolocation.watch position. So then there's a clear watch method that we can use to unregister it. So I don't know why I said this because it is dependent on this thing. Anyway, so when the users share the location, they should have available a prompt. So like a button or a link or something that they can tap or click to stop sharing. And when they do that, it should unregister the handler that's watching the position, remove the marker that shows where they are, and then return the location sharing prompt to its original state. So if they wanted to start sharing again, they could. So there's, in our case, we have a button that's share location. So this is something I meant to mention in the demo too. Like the fly to me should probably be disabled until the user drags. That's maybe that's an issue that we can file because it's only useful to get you back to your position. So if it's currently following you around, you don't need the fly to me button, right? Same with the share location. Once you tap share location, it should go to a disabled state until we we click or tap this button or link or whatever it is, and then that should go back to an enabled state so you can click it again and start sharing your location again. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So given a user who's sharing their device location with the app, when they click the stop location sharing prompt, the app should stop watching their location and return to the default state. So, and something that this is from when I was building it, like when I was building it, I wanted to make sure that was all happening. So I just had a bunch of console logs that were showing me like what was happening. If I was getting locations, it was showing those, and when it stopped, like it would say stop sharing or something, just to verify that the right behaviors were happening. But because it's not you can't really inspect that stuff directly in terms of the browser watching your position. Okay, thanks, Katya, because I was about to end the call without having gone over that issue.
Sorry, could you just please clarify one more thing? So we are creating a branch of another branch after it gets approved by Lauren tomorrow, or
hopefully today we'll be able to actually get that approved and merged, and then you can just make your branch off of main. You wouldn't have to go off of another branch.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yep, for sure. All right, do we have a plan? We could even, if we do get that merged, would people want to do a quick office hour tomorrow so we can decide what the next issues are? I don't want to hold people here today, but is it better to stay on for another 10 minutes and decide that, or should we, you want to schedule a new call tomorrow or the next day?
Tomorrow would be great because when I work with Katya, we have like such a giant time difference. It's helpful to work on Sunday or earlier on. But I mean, I'm up for whatever.
Do other people have opinions about that? I have literally nothing on my calendar tomorrow, which never happens. So I could do an early meeting if that, because I, Katya, to accommodate you and Alejandro as well. And then we don't lose too much time as a team about, kind of, pairing time and everything.
Mhm. I can do,
Katya?
yeah, meeting tomorrow morning would be great.
Yeah. Katya, I know you wanted to be
Yeah.
protective of your time, so I don't necessarily I want to sign you up for an additional meeting, but let me know what works for you.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, sounds good to me, so no problem.
Yeah, okay. Megan, how early can you tolerate being on a call tomorrow?
I can make anything work. Like my cat has been waking me up at 5 and 6, so I'm trying to get used to it.
Time for a new cat. I'm just kidding. Okay, let's just do 8 a.m. then, if that's okay. Sign myself up for an 8 a.m. meeting on Sunday, but
Oh,
it's all
Yeah,
right.
I was like, if you want to do that, I can do it. I can do it.
It's all right. I'll crack my knuckle. It'll be fine. So 8 a.m. tomorrow Pacific, 8 a.m. Pacific tomorrow, and then we'll decide these things. So you really tried, Lauren, to get us out of here on time, but
hard. It's hard. We got a lot of good discussion. It's good.
yeah, it was good. Thanks, team. You're doing great work. It's really fun. I can see all the ways that you're learning and stuff. It's I don't know. I'm really excited for y'all.
Nice.
This was good. Thank you.
Yep. All right. Take care.
Talk to
See you tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.